The movie is set in the 22nd century. After climate change destroyed the planet, humans moved to a man-made base in outer space looking for survival, but peace could only last so long. Captain Yun Yoonghee is the relentless and most skilled elite leader of the Allied forces, and has summoned to protect the community from the war that's about to begin. Little did she know that she was about to become the center of a cloning experiment that could bring the war to an end and make them victorious. After an exhausting battle, Captain Yun Yoonghee awakens after being knocked out. Her reflexes are sharp, and she battles against a horde of robots. The fight doesn't last long. As she briefs her command base on the battle, a group of highly intelligent robots attacks her again. Yun Yoonghee fights and tries to escape, but the last machine she fights against is much more advanced than she thought. She has nowhere to go and nothing else to do other than fight. The opposing forces are superior at that moment and strike a shot at her. To her shock, she loses 2 fingers and realizes that she isn't human at all. The simulation ends with Yun Yoonghee's face petrified. Scientists make assessments of her performance and advise the chief scientist on what to do. The chief scientist is Yun Seo-hyun, a quiet researcher with a stellar mind. The laboratory works at full speed to replicate Captain Yun Yoonghee's strength and make an army of super soldiers. Chief Hyun and her team attend a briefing on the current situation of the base and the researchers' efforts to clone Yoonghee's brain ever since she went into a coma after a battle. The lab director reveals to the army representatives that the name of the project is Yoonghee. After the lame presentation, the director tells his audience that Chief Hyun is not only the leading researcher on this project, but also Captain Yun Yoonghee's daughter. The military group doesn't go easy on Chief Hyun and questions her methods to win the war. But as her mother, Chief Hyun aims at her target relentlessly. After that, Chief Hyun has to endure the director's silly jokes and reveals that Chief Hyun is lucky to have such close contact with the chairman. Hyun gets back to work. She interviews the active Yoonghee android to make improvements. Yoonghee's mind believes she is still human and collapses, demonstrating that the experiment hasn't been able to overcome the emotional flaws in order to access only the tactical and rational traits. Chief Hyun demands that the subject is terminated. During a conversation with a trainee, Chief Hyun tells him that she's the reason why her mom continued to live as a combat warrior. She said she had a health condition, and the family didn't have any money for the treatment, so her mom decided to keep on fighting. Later that day, a tired chief researcher Hyun confronts bitter childhood memories as she travels back home on a train. A little and much more fragile, Hyun lies in a hospital bed, suffering from a rare type of cancer, and says goodbye to her mom, who's ready to set off on a new assignment and promises she'll be back soon. During a regular psychological and physical test, Hyun's doctor says her cancer is back and that she doesn't have much time left. Naturally, the doctor recommends she transfers her brain into a prosthetic body, but she can't decide what to do. She's conflicted and asks to see her mother. Captain Yun Yoonghee's body is decaying, but Hyun gets to smile as she sees her mom. The visit gives Chief Hyun more energy to keep working on the Yoonghee project, and the tests carry on. Although they change strategies, the results are the same until Cap. Yoonghee fights back and overcomes the obstacles that had put her down time and again in previous tests. Chief Hyun realizes that the tests have just unlocked a new core response in her brain, which is a small but significant breakthrough. To make her life even harder, a new director comes up to her and her team, saying that the long-awaited chairman isn't coming, and that the arrogant manager-director is there to see how the project is going, and debrief the chairman afterward. The research team is bummed out after learning that the chairman plans to cut funds from the AI combat division that develops Yoonghee. New developments and progress with the Yoonghee latest version made the research team a bit more relieved, just in time to finally meet the chairman. The chairman doesn't spare his unique sense of humor, and, to Hyun's surprise, he disables the AI division director in a blink of an eye. It feels like Hyun is surrounded by artificial intelligence only. The most devastating moment in Hyun's life since her mom's comatose state comes as a shock to her as the chairman tells her that the AI combat division is about to be dismantled. He tells her that the war is coming to an end after a so-called agreement between the armies, and that the ceasefire would affect the weapon development division tremendously, and that everything she has worked for will become supplies in water bottle production. It doesn't come as a shock to Hyun that the chairman doesn't care about the Yoonghee project. For her, it's all about her mother, but for him, it's nothing but an investment that went wrong. Chief Hyun and director Kim Sang-hoon go back to work, but the mood isn't really positive. The chairman managed to make everyone edgy with his decision. Director Sang-hoon reactivates Yoonghee against the chairman's orders and pushes it to its pain limits to prove his theory. They're running against the clock. Much to his surprise, Chief Hyun tells Director Sang-hoon he can't make any more changes in Yoonghee's system because she changed the project administrator. Things get ugly when Sang-hoon points a gun at Hyun's face, but the new arrogant director arrives, interrupting Sang-hoon's momentum. Later that day, Hyun's bad day gets much worse. She senses weird activities coming from her trainee's chamber and storms in to see what's going on. She sees the unimaginable. One of Yoonghee's prototypes is half in provocative lingerie. She covers her mom's robotic figure with a blanket and squeezes the man by the neck. As if it wasn't outrageous enough, things get worse as he informs her that he's only doing his job, testing a new product assigned by the headquarters. According to the man, the HQ understands how cherished Captain Yun Yoonghee was, and that they wanted to explore her popularity, except now as an adult toy. Yun Seo Hyun is devastated and seeks refuge in her lab, but Sang-hoon is also there. He briefs Hyun on the chairman's new plans for Yoonghee, like household system, and the toy we saw before. Chief Hyun is hopeless and awakens Yoonghee to inform her of her fate. Yoonghee is as disoriented as always and hears the voice of her daughter saying that she'll soon be put down. She'll lose her life due to severe injuries. Before Hyun pushes the end button, the system alerts her of the unknown brain activity they have been trying so hard to evoke, but didn't know how. Chief Hyun is astonished to hear from Yoonghee that before the end, she wants to know how her daughter is and how the treatment went. The more Yoonghee speaks about her daughter, the stronger the unknown activity becomes. Chief Hyun gives in and falls into despair for a moment. A new day comes, and Chief Hyun prepares Yoonghee for her final and unexpected test. Hyun quickly tells her mother what happened to her. It's clear that she has a plan. Back at the lab control room, the researchers begin Yoonghee's last test, but they have no idea what Chief Hyun did earlier that day. Yoonghee knows now what's about to happen to her and fights like never before until she gets struck as usual, but that's only part of Hyun's plan. This time, Yoonghee is fully aware of what's happening. She's ready to rebel. Sang-hoon takes a few minutes, but finds out Yoonghee responded differently and that she is now up to no good. He sounds the alarm, trying to lock her somewhere. Up to this point, Hyun runs to her lab and deletes all the data on her mom. Captain Yoonghee hides from Sang-hoon and ends up in one of the android's storage. Sang-hoon's guards find her, and the fight begins. Yoonghee is deadly, but the machines are tough on her as well. Meanwhile, Hyun runs away. Yoonghee loses an arm to one of the droids, but keeps on fighting back. Before drawing her last breath, her daughter Hyun knocks the droid out. She tells her mom's android that she's the one who spoke to her earlier. Unexpectedly, Hyun leaves the storage, carried out by one of Sang-hoon's AI guards. The remains of Yoonghee's android lie cold on the ground. The HQ surveillance footage captures a strange and shocking recording. Hyun traded the AI mind for Yoonghee's and fled the laboratory with her. As they run away together by train, they're caught up by the director, Sang-hoon, who shoots Hyun. Sang-hoon loses his grip when he faces his true nature, which is an android. Now, he goes berserk mode on Yoonghee after shooting Hyun down. Yoonghee attacks her daughter's attacker, and the battle escalates dramatically. Hyun gets badly wounded, which makes Yoonghee angrier and even more dangerous. The train begins to lose control as Sang-hoon and Yoonghee fight violently. Although injured, Hyun fights to help her mother get rid of Sang-hoon. And so they do it, and Sang-hoon falls down with the train wagon. Yoonghee tries to help her daughter with her injuries, but Hyun begs her mom to save herself and leave before the HQ police arrive. After a warm and emotional hug goodbye, Hyun recalls her final moments with her mom when she was a kid and bids her mom farewell as she bleeds out. Yoonghee follows her daughter's commands and rushes into the heavy and dark rainforest. She doesn't know where it will lead her, but as the sun rises, Yoonghee has a familiar feeling of warmth and love from her beloved daughter.